Looking after your dog's skin is so important for their overall health, but also their comfort levels. So if you have an itchy dog who's scratching all night long, that's not good quality of life for the dog and also for you. My name is Dr. Alex Moore and I'm a veterinarian specialising in dermatology. The most common sign of a food allergy in dogs would be dermatological disease. So I think a lot of people think of gastrointestinal symptoms as being the most common thing to look out for, but actually far more commonly we see skin infections, ear infections, paw licking, bottom scooting, hair loss, all those sorts of things. Other symptoms that we see with food allergies would be dry skin, scale or dandruff. Sometimes dogs are greasy to touch. They have conjunctivitis, sneezing, red skin, so inflammation between the toes. All those sorts of things are really, really common with allergies. And so if a young dog comes into the clinic with recurrent skin infection or baldness, or the owner just says to me, you know, their tummy's always pink, then the first thing I'm going to think about is an allergy to something. The most common food triggers in dogs would be poultry, and so that means chicken, turkey, duck, egg and egg products. So there is a cross-reactivity. Beef is another big one, and lamb, they're the most common ones we see. We also speak about dairy sometimes, and less commonly wheat and fish and pork. So if you have a dog who is food allergic, I think the most important thing is to identify exactly what the dog is allergic to, and so that's where your novel protein, your 8-week elimination diet comes into play. Single protein diets can be really beneficial for dogs with food allergies because you want to know that what it says on the packet is actually what your dog is consuming. So what you see is what you get. So for example, if we know they can't tolerate chicken or beef and we're feeding them a kangaroo-based diet, some of the other sort of generic, sometimes supermarket brands will have a kangaroo diet, but if you flip over the back, you'll see that there's chicken flavouring or beef extract, and therefore it's no longer appropriate for your dog who is allergic to those meats. So single proteins can be really beneficial because you're only feeding your dog that certain protein. And so we can expect that they shouldn't flare with dermatological disease or ear infections if food is truly the cause of their signs. If you can really hone in on your dog's diet and see what they're eating and what works for them and what doesn't, that's going to be the best outcome all around for dog and owner. Something else that can really be beneficial is bathing your dog. So if your dog is quite predisposed to secondary bacterial or yeast infections, using a medicated shampoo once a week, once a fortnight will help to reduce the incidence of those infections. You can really improve a pet's quality of life. I think, you know, the skin is it's the biggest organ of the body, and some think it's the most important organ of the body. And so when, you know, a dog comes in that's been really itchy or uncomfortable for months and months on end, and owners feel like they've tried everything, but they haven't, and they just needed a little bit more guidance, yeah, it's really rewarding. We wouldn't put up with being itchy or uncomfortable, and so we would want the same for our dogs. They're our best friend, and we want them to live as long as possible, and so I think looking after the skin is so important to achieving that.